So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joleen, like Michelle said, and I just recently graduated from the University of the Virgin Islands, where I pursued my undergrad degree in business IT and data science, with a minor in data science, actually. During my time there, I've had the privilege of working on a lot of research projects, specifically like looking at how climate change is impacting coastal environments, so erosion or sea level rise, stuff like that. And I am actually transitioning to NC State in the fall to do my master's in GIS. So it's not GIS, but it's Geographical Information Science and Technology here in the fall. And today I have the wonderful opportunity to share what my experience this summer was like at SE CASC. So this internship was kind of split into two parts. Like Michelle said, we had one portion that was focused on like the data science and data analytics, and then the other portion that was more so specific with science communication and some field work lodged in between there. So let's dive right in. So for part one, the data science portion, we worked with Gabriella looking at bee data. So first, I'm going to talk to you about how pollinators are important for our environment. They're extremely crucial, specifically in the agriculture department. Like if it wasn't for pollinators, we wouldn't be having a lot of the foods that we have today, and wildlife as well as our trees and flowers around us. We've seen research come out that is stating that the changing climate is impacting pollinators around us. And more so specifically for our research, we wanted to look at how that was impacting bumblebees. So our hypothesis is, are bumblebees moving in elevation as it relates to change in climate or change in temperature? So before I dive into our results, I'm going to talk to you about the methods that we use. So like I said, this was a data science, data analytics heavy project. So we looked at RStudio, where we use R as our main programming language to kind of sift through the data that we had, this large data set. We broke it down to, only include the factors that we thought were necessary for our Bayesian model that we utilize, and also MCMC. And we utilized this package that was called the SP abundance package in R. It's like specifically designed for looking at like species abundance. A person who is in the ecology field designed that. And let's talk about our results. So unfortunately, we did not see that bees were moving higher in elevation. Actually, I'm just gonna zoom in here as to the graphs that we were able to produce with our analysis. As you can see with the first elevation graph that I have there, we're not really seeing that much of a correlation between elevation and the bees abundance. I have a next graph over here to kind of show an example of what that would have looked like if we did find some sort of correlation. This one on the right side, my right at least, is date of year. So basically what that's just showing is that the researchers found more bees as the year continued, the days in the year continued to progress. So that's what we found. And for our discussion, although we didn't prove our hypothesis, so the bees are not moving up in elevation, we discussed that maybe there's other reasons or other factors that could possibly be looked into. Maybe they are more responsive to a habitat type. Maybe that's the reason why they would change their location, or maybe more specific to the resources that's available to them. I know in one of the papers that we were looking at for our lit review, we found that the change in temperatures kind of impact the schedule for a lot of the blooms for a lot of the flowers that pollinators tend to feed from. So that could also be a influx in another influence as to why. And then during our discussion, Juan came up with this brilliant idea that maybe in order for us to further assess the movements of these bumblebees, that maybe an independent more control study could be done where we can monitor the bees' reaction to a change in temperature. Because maybe what we're seeing is the bees are just not like registering the change in like temperature. Maybe they just don't care about how hot or how cold it is. All they care about is food and habitat. So maybe another like heavy research into that could be important. Now I'm gonna dive into part 2 of our summer, which was more so specifically focused on science communication and the field portion. So before we even got out into the field, we had to start with the basics. And so we started, with building our foundations here at David Clark Labs in this very same room, where we got to do like a little introduction into what science communication is all about. We learned about the specific tools that are being utilized, like the message box, for example, that can help with figuring out what exactly you want to communicate to your audience. And we did talk about audience quite a lot, the importance of basically tailoring what you're communicating to a specific audience, because as a group of researchers may not you're not going to be able to communicate the same way you communicate with a group of researchers as you would with probably like a group of high schoolers. They're not going to be able to soak up the information the same. So that's very important. And on the same note, we talked about data visualization and how, graphs can become a little bit too complex. Not everything you need to put a graph next to. Sometimes, just a simple photo could suffice, and it could convey the message that you're trying to get across. We also did a little introduction to photography with Michelle, where we learned like the basic concepts of photography, and we got to put that into practice a little bit, take a little pictures, maybe doing a perspective shot, a hero shot, leading line shot, whatever shot we wanted to test though. And I liked that portion of the classroom sessions a lot. We also had some lunch and learn sessions and some guest sessions where we got to, talk with the pros about their particular research. So for one of them, we met with Dr. Rebecca Ward and Dr. Georgina Sanchez for lunch. Where we just got to talk a bit more about the research that they did and talk about our interests as well. And the summer project that they were working on with the secret summer project, where we got invited to the symposium. Actually, that was like 2 weeks ago, Friday. And it was really interesting just interacting with the interns and the students that they were working with this summer. I thought it was very funny as a student who I literally was in the same position as them, standing by a poster explaining to people what my research was. I thought it was really funny being the one there questioning them about their work. It felt really weird, but I liked it. I liked it. And of course, we did some visits at the RTP, the Research Triangle Park, where we met with people within the journalism field, Carl, as well as the chief editor of the American Sciences, Vanilla Saunders. And we got to learn more about how you communicate science from a journalist lens. How, researchers tend to have that triangle approach when it comes to communicating. And journalism is all about flipping that triangle, getting straight to the point and communicating that in an effective manner. And also getting people to care about that particular research. And while we were there, we met some other interns who were doing science communication internships in the Triangle as well. So that was a nice little networking opportunity just to meet other students and just learn about their particular interests and what, they're hoping to get out of their internship as well. And of course, this is my favorite portion of the whole entire experience, the field days, cameras, critters, and field days and communications. So we had a series of different activities where we went out and just, tagged along with the researchers in the field. So our first field day, we went out to the bee farm here on campus, and we got to look at what researchers were doing with trying to understand how the mites were affecting honeybee population. My favorite part about this day was not getting stung by any bees. And I think Juan will have a different story to tell when he presents. But I really enjoyed it, and at the end of our day, we left with a little bottle of honey, and I thought that was very sweet, pun intended.
Where is the bee farm on campus?
You guys went to Dix Park, I think?
Okay.
I just know it's close to where the Hollings cow.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, so
Okay.
you were out, yeah, so it's
Yeah.
out by that midpoint.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we also visited the mussel lab, so I got to learn that there is actually a difference between freshwater mussels and saltwater mussels in the ocean. I really didn't even know that there was an actual difference there, and learn about how they were important for the water quality here in North Carolina and how they too are also being impacted by climate change and also development and infrastructure changes as well. We also went out to the coast. We had a, crystal skipper butterfly day. We got to meet with a researcher out there, Laura, and learn more about her research. I got to tag along to shadow her for the day and see like what her everyday monitoring kind of looks like when she's looking at these species. And then at the end, we kind of walked along the beach. We were hoping to capture one of the butterflies and tag them. We didn't get to see a butterfly, or we didn't get to catch one, unfortunately, but it was just nice to be out by the beach. It kind of reminded me of home and just feeling the wind from the ocean and everything. And while we were out there, we also visited NC State's coastal campus, CMS, and we met with Jeff Buckle and his researchers. They're looking at research. Looking at research as it relates to North Carolina's fishes out there, and he gave us a little tour of the facility. We got to learn more about what the entirety of CMAS is. And there was an interesting portion, they were doing some food science stuff out there that I thought was really cool. Like people are looking at ways to take like the waste from your like everyday like factories or food factories and turn it into like some gourmet like 5-star restaurant meal. It's absolutely like wonderful, the research that they're doing out there. And then at the end, we had the opportunity to just put everything that we've learned so far all together, whether it be through presentation or just writing. Michelle had a wonderful little activity planned for us this summer where we got to practice our writing skills, and we interviewed an actual scientist, and looked at like their particular research project. And the end game was to write a summary research article on their project. So I interviewed Dr. Paul Armsworth and the research that he was on, looking at how hazards are stacked up in socially vulnerable communities within the United States. So this was like the most challenging part of my summer. I am not too fond of like when it comes to writing, it's not really my strongest, I would say, skill. And I knew that was that I would need, like, this was the time for the internship for me to like work on that. And it was hard kind of like getting the feedback and not like taking it as a sign of like failure, instead of just realizing that this is just a natural part of how people write. And it was interesting. I have a link here in the story map. I'm hoping once I share it, I'll have the other link in here for the summary article, but on top of that, we got to write a blog about our summer internship experience, and I've attached the link for that in here as well. This is just a placeholder for the actual summary article. And my final reflections. So at the end of this internship, I can say that I'm learning a whole new programming language, R, and learning about a whole new model, the Bayesian model as well. That was very interesting. I feel like I'm going to be leaving here with a stronger voice, and not with just presenting alone, but also with my writing, like I mentioned previously. I think I've learned to understand and accept that, it's okay to receive feedback. Like, you're not going to always get everything perfect and right on the first time. And as a perfectionist, I struggle with that. But now I can say I feel a lot more confident and comfortable with just getting a little feedback every now and again. And I put resilience in here because I just love the fact that I was able to observe how scientists are operating in a climate right now, especially the political scene right now. It's kind of against everything that scientists stand for, and I just thought it was really nice to see that people are continuing to do their research despite all the odds that stacked up against them, and I loved seeing that. And at the end, I have good ice cream, and as you can see, the picture that I have right here, Juan and I went to the Howling Cows ice cream shop after our B-Day, and it was really good. I got to just sit down, relax, and enjoy a little nice ice cream and look out at the cows in the field. And I think that's something that's ideal for your NC State experience, and I'm very glad that I got to do it. I'm gonna end this off by just saying big thank you to everyone who was a part of this project. I know there were students at the Rockingham Biological Laboratory, research assistants, everyone, USGS, NC State, and more specifically, of course, CCAS and the CCAS team, Gabriella, Michelle, Carrie, Juan, Lydia, everyone who was a part of this experience. Thank you so much, and I appreciate how much you put into this, and thank you so much for selecting me to be a part of this. And I can't wait to just utilize my new science communication skills as I go forward with my master's here at NC State. Thank you.